This is Sadiq, and you are watching sadiqssolitude. Welcome back. Today we are drawing the Desperate Man. You can draw along if you want, or don't. Le Désespéré or The Desperate Man is an oil-on-canvas self-portrait by Gustave produced in 1843 to 1845, early during his stay in Paris. It is now in the private collection of the Conseil Investissement Art BNP Paribas but was displayed in the Musée d'Orsay's 2007 Courbet exhibition. The painting depicts a young Courbet, with wild eyes and unkempt hair, tearing at his own hair. He is dressed in a white shirt and blue smock, and his face is flushed and contorted with emotion. The background of the painting is dark and undefined, which creates a sense of isolation and despair. The painting has been interpreted in many different ways. Some critics have seen it as a literal expression of Courbet's own personal despair, while others have interpreted it as a more general statement about the artist's struggle to find his place in the world. Still others have seen the painting as a reflection of the Romantic movement, which emphasized the artist's individual genius and his isolation from society. Whatever the interpretation, The Desperate Man is a powerful and disturbing image that captures the raw emotion of the artist at a moment of crisis. It is a reminder that even the most successful artists can experience moments of doubt and despair. Here are some additional details about the painting. The painting is 45 centimeters by 55 centimeters in size. It is painted in oil on canvas. The painting is currently in the private collection of the Conseil Investissement Art BNP Paribas. The painting was first exhibited in 1855 at the Exposition Universelle in Paris. The painting has been interpreted in many different ways, including as a literal expression of Courbet's own personal despair, as a more general statement about the artist's struggle to find his place in the world, and as a reflection of the Romantic movement. Jean-Désiré Gustave Courbet was a French painter who led the realism movement in 19th-century French painting. Committed to painting only what he could see, he rejected academic convention and the romanticism of the previous generation of visual artists. His independence set an example that was important to later artists, such as the Impressionists and the Cubists. Courbet occupies an important place in 19th-century French painting as an innovator and as an artist willing to make bold social statements through his work. Courbet's paintings of the late 1840s and early 1850s brought him his first recognition. They challenged convention by depicting unidealized peasants and workers, often on a grand scale traditionally reserved for paintings of religious or historical subjects. Courbet's subsequent paintings were mostly of a less overtly political character: landscapes, seascapes, hunting scenes, nudes, and still lives. Courbet, a socialist, was active in the political developments of France. He was imprisoned for 6 months in 1871 for his involvement with the Paris Commune and lived in exile in Switzerland from 1873 until his death 4 years later. Courbet's work belonged neither to the predominant Romantic nor neoclassical schools. History painting, which the Paris Salon esteemed as a painter's highest calling, did not interest him, for he believed that the artists of one century are basically incapable of reproducing the aspect of a past or future century. Instead, he maintained that the only possible source for living art is the artist's own experience. He and Jean-François Millet would find inspiration painting the life of peasants and workers. Courbet painted figurative compositions, landscapes, seascapes, and still lives. He courted controversy by addressing social issues in his work, and by painting subjects that were considered vulgar, such as the rural bourgeoisie, peasants, and working conditions of the poor. His work, along with that of Honoré Daumier and Jean-François Millet, became known as realism. For Courbet, realism dealt not with the perfection of line and form, but entailed spontaneous and rough handling of paint, suggesting direct observation by the artist while portraying the irregularities in nature. He depicted the harshness of life, and in doing so challenged contemporary academic ideas of art. One of the distinctive features of Courbet's realism was his lifelong attachment to his native province, the Franche-Comté, and of his birthplace, Ornans. In the Salon of 1857, Courbet showed 6 paintings. These included young ladies on the banks of the Seine, summer, depicting 2 prostitutes under a tree, as well as the first of many hunting scenes Courbet was to paint during the remainder of his life: Hind at bay in the snow and the quarry. Young ladies on the banks of the Seine, painted in 1856, provoked a scandal. Art critics accustomed to conventional, timeless, nude women in landscapes were shocked by Courbet's depiction of modern women casually displaying their undergarments. By exhibiting sensational works alongside hunting scenes, of the sort that had brought popular success to the English painter Edwin Landseer, Courbet guaranteed himself both notoriety and sales. During the 1860s, Courbet painted a series of increasingly erotic works such as Femme nu couchée. This culminated in The Origin of the World, L'Origine du Monde, 1866, which depicts female genitalia and was not publicly exhibited until 1988, 36, and Sleep, 1866, featuring 2 women in bed. The latter painting became the subject of a police report when it was exhibited by a picture dealer in 1872. Until about 1861, Napoleon's regime had exhibited authoritarian characteristics, using press censorship to prevent the spread of opposition, manipulating elections, and depriving Parliament of the right to free debate or any real power. In the 1860s, however, Napoleon III made more concessions to placate his liberal opponents. This change began by allowing free debates in Parliament and public reports of parliamentary debates. Press censorship, too, was relaxed and culminated in the appointment of the liberal Émile Ollivier, previously a leader of the opposition to Napoleon's regime, as the de facto prime minister in 1870. As a sign of appeasement to the liberals who admired Courbet, Napoleon III nominated him to the Legion of Honor in 1870. His refusal of the Cross of the Legion of Honor angered those in power but made him immensely popular with those who opposed the prevailing regime. Exile and death. Courbet completed his prison sentence on March 2, 1872, but his problems caused by the destruction of the Vendôme column were still not over. In 1873, the newly elected President of the Republic, Patrice MacMahon, announced plans to rebuild the column, with the cost to be paid by Courbet. Unable to pay, Courbet went into a self-imposed exile in Switzerland to avoid bankruptcy. In the following years, he participated in Swiss regional and national exhibitions. Surveilled by the Swiss intelligence service, he enjoyed in the small Swiss art world the reputation as head of the realist school and inspired younger artists such as Auguste Baud-Bovy and Ferdinand Hodler. Important works from this period include several paintings of trout, hooked and bleeding from the gills, that have been interpreted as allegorical self-portraits of the exiled artist. In his final years, Courbet painted landscapes, including several scenes of water mysteriously emerging from the depths of the earth in the Jura Mountains of the France-Switzerland border. Courbet also worked on sculpture during his exile. Previously, in the early 1860s, he had produced a few sculptures, one of which, The Fisherman of Chavaux, 1862, he donated to Ornans for a public fountain, but it was removed after Courbet's arrest. In May 1877, the state set the final cost of reconstructing the Vendôme column at 323,000 francs for Courbet to repay in annual installments of 10,000 francs for the next 33 years. On December 31, 1877, a day before the first installment was due, Courbet died, aged 58, in La Tour-de-Piels, Switzerland, of a liver disease aggravated by heavy drinking. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment and share. Until next time, take care, and do good.